Some time ago, Dave told the story of how the great detective Victor Cupid helped his girlfriend Sena recover her long-lost Maltese Puffin, culminating in their traveling to her homeland of, I cannot read, Botezslavia to retrieve it. However, it so happens that their trip to this exotic nation was in itself an adventure, which will be revealed in today's speech. So, Dave's speech title is called "A Scandal in Botezslavia. A Scandal in Botezslavia." Dave, let's welcome Dave.
Good afternoon. Victor Cupid, private detective here, for those of you who have not met me before. As our esteemed Toastmaster mentioned, I will be telling you today about the adventure my girlfriend Sena and I had on our visit when we uncovered a major scandal in the Republic of Botezslavia. Both Sena and I were coming to retrieve her long-lost Maltese Puffin, who the Prime Minister was holding for us. And so, as soon as we arrived in that small but proud nation, we immediately went to see the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Morgan Mendel. We found her in her office where she was seated at her computer with an imposing 57-inch screen with a gilded frame. "Just 1 minute," she said. "I'm involved in some very crucial business here." "Hello, Morgan Mendel," a voice on the computer said. "You are now logged in and have been granted authorization to Mirror Matching, the dating site that finds a match that is a mirror image of you. You have 0 new messages." "How can I not have any messages?" the Prime Minister said. "I've been on this lousy dating site for 6 months now, and not a single response to my profile." "Sorry," said the voice on the computer, "but you have not received any interest in your profile." No one has interest in dating the Prime Minister of Botezslavia? "With all due respect, Prime Minister," the voice of Mirror Matching said in a distinctly condescending tone, "Botezslavia is a very tiny country and makes the Isle of Man look like a global superpower. Besides which, you are frankly not any great beauty." The Prime Minister was quite taken aback by this, as well she might, for she was quite an attractive woman. "Relatively speaking, that is," the voice continued. "Objectively, you are tolerable to look at, but you are nothing compared to the beautiful Tatiana." On the computer screen appeared a photo of what could only be described as an erotic fantasy for the ages. As the voice itself unnecessarily pointed out, lips red as Santa's suit, hair black as printer toner, skin white as a penguin's belly. Tatiana, you're always going on about Tatiana," the Prime Minister said angrily. "Well, she is our spokesmodel," the voice said, "as she will tell you herself." Immediately, the photo of Tatiana became too annoying life. "Hello, Morgan Mendel. I'm Tatiana. I'm 23 years old, and my hobbies are skiing, singing, sunshine, and liking people." Clearly, there was something very phony about this girl. Thinking twice, I said, "Excuse me, Tatiana, if you are indeed the spokesmodel for this racket, dating service, perhaps you could pull some strings so that our honored Prime Minister here could find a soulmate." Tatiana regarded the Prime Minister and said, "Sorry, but Mirror Matching cannot find a match for anyone so much uglier than I am. Bye!" And the screen went dark. The Right Honorable Prime Minister Morgan Mendel of Botezslavia looked so furious you could almost see the smoke billowing. That Tatiana is ruining my life! Oh, come now, Prime Minister, Sena began. Just call me Morgan, the Prime Minister said wearily. Honestly, Morgan, you very lovely woman. As lovely as Tatiana? More so, I said. I mean, all this talk about who's more beautiful than whom is just so subjective anyway. So are you going to take our word for it, or that of some clearly tasteless website? Well, I must admit, Morgan said, there does seem something really suspicious about this whole thing. In the past 2 weeks, no fewer than seven members of our parliament have all found girlfriends through mirror matching, which seems like a remarkable number of miracle whirlwind romances. I had to agree with the Prime Minister, and so I assured her that I would go have a talk with those 7 members of Parliament myself to find out exactly how miraculous these whirlwind romances of theirs actually were. I'm not sure what I expected from the Boteslavian Parliament. I guess I keep forgetting what a truly tiny country it is. It turns out that there's a grand total of 10 members of the Boteslavian Parliament, and they always meet to do their official legislative business in the same place, in the country's lone Starbucks. So I arranged for a meeting, ordered a cappuccino with the name Vicky Cuthbert written on the cup, and sat down with the 7 members of Parliament in question. Now, I'll tell you right up front, I honestly don't remember the names of these guys, although I remember each of them distinctly. So for the sake of this narrative, I'm just going to refer to them by the impressions they left on me. I am Big O Ego, said the first MP. I am Speaker of the Boteslavian Parliament, and a greater leader was never born. I am tough. I am assertive. I am potent. No wonder Sophia loves me. That's the girl I met through mirror matching, you see. She's wonderful. She loves skiing, fishing, roasting frankfurters in the fireplace, and movies starring Sean Connery. That's very interesting, said the second MP, who, because he was rather rotund and was munching on a cheeseburger the whole time, I'll refer to as hungry. My Anya likes very much the same things, only she likes movies starring David Niven. As we went around the room, each of these members of Parliament described their girlfriends to me, and all of them had remarkably similar personalities and interests. It was quite an uncanny coincidence. If you don't mind my asking, I told them, just how long have you been seeing these girlfriends of yours? Well, actually, said a rather soft-spoken one, who I will call helpful, I've never actually seen my Katerina at all yet, not in person. She has no money, you see, and she has a great auntie that she has to take care of. So I've been sending her money until she can afford the train fare to come here and see me. Well, that's quite astonishing, said Hungry. My Anya has a sick third cousin that she takes care of, and so I've been sending money to help her out. It turned out that all 7 of these guys' girlfriends all had similar hard luck stories, which made it conveniently impossible for them to come to see their beaux in person. And all of you have been sending the money? Oh, no strings attached, said Sena, a bit distressed. I haven't, said another of the MPs, who I will call Thrifty. My Natalia asked me for money to help her hamster stricken with hay fever, but I flat out refused because I believe in due economy in politics and in private life. Strangely enough, she has not contacted me nor answered any of my messages since. Is that a fact? I said. Now listen, guys, I hope you will excuse my bluntness, but I think it would be prudent of me if I spoke to each of these alleged girlfriends of yours myself. Alleged? Are you insinuating, sir, that these girls of our dreams are attempting to deceive, swindle, and otherwise pull the hair over our eyes? Oh, no, I'm not insinuating anything, I said. I'm stating it outright. Listen, said Helpful, I was going to have a virtual lunch with my Katerina anyway. Maybe we could start by having a talk with her. And so he whipped out his laptop and dialed in a Zoom call to his sweetheart. I was slightly surprised, though not so surprised as all that, to see appearing on the screen none other than the beautiful Tatiana, the spokesmodel of Mirror Matching. Oh, Helpful, my darling. Oh, I'm so glad to, as her eyes met mine. Well, I said, we meet again, it seems. Hey, cried Big O Ego, shouting at Helpful. What are you doing talking to my Sophia? What do you mean, my Sophia? It's my Anya. No, it's my Natalia. No, it's my Polina. No, it's, gotta go now, bye. And she signed off faster than you can say lousy two-timing dame. You mean, said Helpful morosely, all of us had the same girl the whole time, playing us all for fools? I'm afraid so, said Sena, putting a sympathetic hand on his shoulder. Now, those of you who have heard my previous narratives know that I have very little patience with political blowhards like this motley crew, but it was so like Sena to show unconditional compassion. Anyway, as quickly and as politely as we could, we took our leave of these 7 sadder but wiser legislators and set out into the Boteslavian countryside to track down the increasingly less beautiful Tatiana. By and by, we ran into a strange figure who, as we approached her, we realized was none other than the Prime Minister, apparently incognito, as she was dressed in a badly fitting hooded cloak and was carrying a basket full of some strange electronic devices. To add to her extremely clever disguise, she was wearing one of those novelty Groucho Marx glasses and nose. I deduced that she had put it on in rather a hurry, as she had neglected to trim off the mustache. Prime Minister, Sena said tentatively. What? No, I'm just a poor old peddler woman selling my wares. Oh, come on, Morgan, I said. Trick-or-treating season is over with. Just what are you up to? Oh, all right, Morgan cried, whipping off the cloak and discarding the Groucho glasses mercifully. I was determined to find out what the beautiful Natalia was really playing at, and so I was going to call on her, disguised as a little old peddler woman selling iPhones and iPads. I was going to plant one on her that was laced with very potent spyware. I was hoping I could use it to eavesdrop on her to find out what she's really up to. Very sophisticated monitoring software I've got on these things. That's how I was able to locate where she lives. Well, all right, Mr. Genius Detective, what's your plan? We are going to go there ourselves as we are, no fancy gadgets, no silly costumes, and ask her why she's exploiting people this way. Morgana agreed, and she led us to Tatiana's house. To our surprise, we found that the door was already ajar. Was she expecting us? Was it a trap? Only one way to find out. We very carefully went in. And there she was in the living room, seated nonchalantly on the couch in front of the TV. On seeing us, she stood up. Well, you found me, Mr. Cupid. Yes, I found you, I said, and I'm going to see to it that you pay for this con game you've been playing. My moment of dramatic heroics was rudely interrupted by a sharp voice behind me saying, "What's going on here?" I whipped around towards the door. My jaw dropped. Not believing my eyes, I turned back into the living room where Tatiana defiantly stood. Then I turned back toward the door. Tatiana was standing there, too. Via there, two of her, said Sena. What are you people doing in my house? The Tatiana at the door said, along with a hologram of me. Hologram? For the first time, I realized that the first Tatiana was ever so slightly transparent. I inched up to her and gave her a pinch. She wavered like a bad TV picture and then vanished. A holographic simulation, I cried. I can't believe it. This whole dating service is even a bigger scam than even I thought. Apparently, there are no real women signed up for it at all, other than you, Morgan. It's all been these holographic Tatianas. What are you talking about? The real Tatiana said. What dating service? I promise you, I have no idea what you're talking about. You didn't know that someone was making holograms of you? Of course not. Are you telling me that someone has been using my likeness to create holographic deepfakes in order to convince a bunch of poor, lonely men that I'm their girlfriend? I'm afraid so, I said. And what's more, they've been attempting to play you off our prime minister here and tell her that she's too homely to use their services, that she could never compete with the mega sex appeal of the beautiful Tatiana. Prime Minister, Tatiana cried, looking at Morgan. But I like you. I voted for you. Morgan smiled at her. I humbly ask your pardon. Oh, not at all, said Tatiana. And Mr. Cupid, I think I know who is behind all this. None other than Icky Ivan. Sena and Morgan gasped. What, I said. Who is this Icky Ivan? He is the sleaziest, slimiest, most notorious con man in all of Eastern Europe, Sena said. Yes, Icky Ivan, Tatiana said. I had the misfortune of dating him, you see, and when I broke it off, he vowed that he would get his revenge on me, and this seems to be how he's doing it. Stealing my likeness in order to make dirty money for himself. Well, I said, it looks like it's time that we had to go in and had a little chat with him now. And so me, Sena, Morgan, and Tatiana, along with the full might of the Boteslavian police force, all three of them, we went and found Icky Ivan's sleazy little shack. We snuck in and found him there, hunched in front of his computer like an overgrown woodlouse. He was banging on the keyboard while chewing on a cigar, writing a bogus love letter to one of his victims, reading his lying words out loud with sadistic glee. My dear sweet man, I was so happy to receive your lovely letter. I feel certain that you really are the man of my dreams and that we will be together someday. Please write to me soon, my lovely man. Your loving Masha. Like shooting fish in a barrel. Speaking of shooting, I said loudly, the Boteslavian police has you surrounded. So put your hands up and no one will get hurt. Ivan turned around. Prime Minister, Tatiana, what a pleasant surprise. Of course, he wasn't fooling anyone, as was clear by the murderous looks on the two women's faces. Who wants to start? Morgan said to Tatiana. Heads of state first, Tatiana graciously said. The two women took turns whacking and walloping Ivan while he howled and screamed like an overgrown baby. No, stop, please. I have chronic lumbago and also ingrown toenail. In due course, the Botezslavian police intervened and dragged Icky Ivan off. As they went, Morgan made a beeline for Ivan's computer. She erased what he had written and typed in its place, "Dear user, mirror matching is defunct as of now, as its owner was a lying, deceitful piece of scum. Your money will be refunded, and I can only suggest that you turn off your computer and go out and meet women in the real world. Best regards, Morgan Mendel, Prime Minister of Botezslavia." "Oh, I like that very much," Tatiana said. "Thank you." And as Morgan hit the send button, she and Tatiana exchanged glowing looks, as if they had some shared secret. "Well, all's well that ends well," Sena said. "Quite so," Prime Minister Morgan said. "And now, if you'll excuse us, Tatiana and I have a hot date." Well, Sena and I could only stand there in disbelief as the two former enemies linked arms and went off together, gazing into each other's eyes and humming ABBA's "Lay All Your Love on Me" as they went. So I guess mirror matching found a good match after all.